Today is the 14th day of the month of Iyar, the month that is known in Hebrew as the abbreviation Ani Havaya Rofecha. I, the Lord your God, heal you. And everyone, wherever it is that we may be, and whatever need we may be, health-wise and otherwise, God should heal us and bring us closer to Him. As we connect to Him through the fulfillment of the commandments, and the message of Pesach, Sheni, the second holiday, is that there is always a second chance and opportunity to come together and reconnect to God. We also find ourselves in the days leading up to the Torah giving at Mount Sinai, the holiday of Shavuot, when the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, the 10 commandments, and all of the oral law were given to Moses at Mount Sinai, to Moshe Rabbeinu, to Moses our teacher. Moses was known in the Kabbalah as the Raya Mehemne, the shepherd of faith, it can be translated. How is it, and what is it that a Jewish leader is supposed to accomplish and do? Our sages explain, we look to the great leaders of the Jewish people, especially to Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, who stated that it is the job of a Jewish leader to increase and build and nourish faith in God. As we lead the people, we must be an example to bringing them closer to God, closer to the beliefs of the Torah and to the fulfillment of the commandments. One of the interesting things that we find in the preparation for the receiving of the Torah at Mount Sinai is the study of Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Fathers. We just studied the 3rd chapter. And there's an interesting phrase statement where it states that Da lifnei miat asid litain din v'cheshbon. Know before whom it is that you will have to give judgment and an accounting. And immediately the question is asked, should it not be the reverse? First an accounting is given, and then judgment is passed. Why do we find that this particular teaching, the Mishnah, uses the opposite? First judgment, and then accounting. The Baal Shem Tov explains a very important element here, that the soul is like a part of God, and even the heavenly court cannot judge it. So how is it then that it does judge it? So we understand it in accordance with another teaching, that a person is made to pay knowingly and unknowingly. Well, how can it be knowingly if it's unknowingly? And how can it be unknowingly if it's knowingly? And we explain as follows. Being that the soul is so high, it is a part of God, therefore the heavenly court, which is lower, cannot judge it. But it can only judge it when it passes judgment on itself. So the book of remembrance is opened and everything is recorded there. And there we find a similar instance where this particular person may have gone ahead and passed judgment on someone else, reading that someone had stolen or robbed a bank. He says, oh, that person should get 10 years. So what happens is the heavenly court records that judgment that the person passed knowingly upon another person, and then says, we find a similar instance in your conduct, so you have passed that same judgment on yourself unknowingly. What we learn from here, therefore, is that first judgment is passed. That's why it says din. You are passing judgment on someone else. And then the heavenly court goes and looks and sees that in the book of remembrance you also had a similar thing, and therefore it mets out that same judgment to that individual. So now we understand why it says judgment and then an accounting of the individual who passed judgment on the other person. But what is the moral and the teaching that we must learn from this? We must learn that we should not judge another. Be very careful in judging another, for we might be judging ourselves as well. So let us always remember that a second chance is always given, and we must avail ourselves of it. God wants us to go ahead and to return to Him. That is what the word tshuva means. Come back, reconnect, show that you are worthy of being a servant of God, and God wishes to be sovereign and king over you.